Welcome everyone to today's podcast. And I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with this gentleman today on the other side of the world in sunny Florida as we talk about everything that we both passionately love in the hospitality industry. Brian Vujnovic, CEO and CEO founder of MIA Hospitality Management, brings 25 plus years of hotel operations, development, and asset management expertise. He previously led asset management and Robert Finfarb companies, overseeing 10 new hotel developments and portfolio capex. Brian played a key role in launching Rosa Sky in Miami and Charlie Park in Tallahassee, both award-winning rooftop venues. And we know here in Australia, like Florida, when we had those beautiful summer days, there's nothing better than a rooftop venue. Earlier, he held leadership roles with Ian Schreiger Hotels and SBE, shaping his lifestyle and luxury expertise. Today, he leads MIA-HM's Marriott and Hyatt approved platform, driving operational excellence and portfolio growth. Welcome, Brian, to the podcast, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm excited to be here.
Look, this is going to be a really interesting conversation because we're going to be talking about AI, but also the customer connection. And although AI is taking over the world, literally, and that's what we feel, we are never going to remove that beautiful human connection that we both enjoy. And we know and that's why we're in this industry, is in hospitality, it's all about the people and that feeling of belonging and that moment of connecting with each other. So, Brian, with your background and across the various hotel operations, development and asset management, how are you seeing AI influence the guest experience in hospitality right now? And where do you think it is adding the most value?
That's a great question. I think that there's a great deal of attention and media and focus on AI globally. It's been the narrative that's been dominating headlines for the last couple of years.
Mm.
And the hospitality industry is still trying to find its footing with respect to AI. I would say the industries that are leading in this space right now are finance, health, and hospitality is,
Mm.
in the background trying to play catch up. But where AI is most prevalent right now in the hospitality space is really in the marketing space,
Mm.
where the different platforms that are out there are really acting as a new way for customers to find hotels and destinations and understand what how AI can help them find the right experience when they
Mm.
travel.
Yes.
And we just actually signed a partnership with a group called Lighthouse,
Mm-hmm.
where on April 1st, we're partnering with them to help position every hotel in our portfolio from a search perspective, where they're going to help us optimize our visibility across multiple AI platforms so we can start gaining more traction on the customer acquisition front from a search perspective.
Mm.
The multiple platforms that are live right now are really trying to catch up and take, share from Google and from other
Yes.
search engines.
Mm.
And we're just at the beginning of entering into the search space, where we can focus on acquiring our customer,
Mm.
whether it's direct or through online travel agency platforms, and really starting to optimize how we're acquiring the customer on AI platforms.
Mm.
So that's something new and exciting.
Yes.
The brands themselves really haven't launched any proprietary tools or partnerships with any of the AI platforms.
Mm.
I'm sure that's in the works and it's coming soon. And then when they announce those partnerships, I think that that's really going to change the landscape. But there are other firms out there that are providing this service, so we're excited to partner up and
Mm.
and start venturing out on our own.
Yes.
Operationally, AI is really just starting to penetrate operations where it's just facilitating operation administrative needs
Mm.
on property. really in the sales, accounting, and front desk departments, where there's different optionality where AI agents, these bots, can start handling phone calls,
Mm,
texts, emails, pre-arrival letters to guests, and are providing functionality where front desk team, as an example, can have less administrative duties and focus on the customer that's in front of them, and to
mm,
really pay more attention to the guest and focus on the interaction.
mm,
And then on the back of house, accounting administrative functions similar, where it's just, helping facilitate journal entries, scanning invoices, things of that nature, and answering phone calls, emails, and texts on the sales front. We're talking to a few different vendors out there that provide these services
mm,
to understand how can it optimize our operations, and to what extent can it help administratively, so we can find efficiencies with the ultimate goal of just dedicating more time to our customers. So those are really the two fronts right now. I would say we're still far away from robots coming into play
yes.
in culinary or front of house or back of house positions. I think that there's some excitement that will eventually come into play, but I
Mm,
think that that's still many years away from entering into our space.
yeah. You've covered some absolutely key points that go across the whole space of hospitality, and two there that I just like to focus on. The one with that back of house and even that front of house at the desk, the time that it is going to free up for that amazing person who's going to do the greeting at the front counter, know all about the person. Because I don't know about about you, Brian, but you check into a hotel, they've got all the information, and they seem to spend like you seem to be there for an exorbitant amount of time. And it feels like hours, but it's probably only about 8.5 minutes. And they're literally just looking at this computer. And then when they do look at you, it's more of a well, here's your card, and then off you go, and here's some paper to read about what the room you're going to be in, and that's it. And you're shuffled off because you've got another 20 people behind you. So that is certainly going to assist, as you rightly said, about giving them the opportunity to be more that really connecting with the person. And when it's done beautifully, isn't it? You walk away from that desk fully informed, still with the piece of paper so you can remember when you get back to your room, how to find the bar, etc., in the pool and the gym. Not that I go there. But but it also just gives you the opportunity to go, wow, that was my first impression. And we always know that it is so key. The same with answering that telephone on the website, all those inquiry forms. And the other was right at the start when you talked about AI with the search. And I know, I was saying to your associate Lizzie that the other week I was up in Cairns and we had 400 global speakers that had gathered together. And we were all talking there about how people were now finding us. And the same as hotels, it is going on to all those various AI platforms and saying, I'm looking for a blah, blah, blah speaker, or I'm looking for a hotel that has a dog, kid friendly, blah blah, instead of going to the old, the apps that we've had for a long time, and they're still very usable. But it's very interesting to see people are using this as a tool to have a conversation with about where they're going to go for the holiday, because this tool, when they put so much information in about themselves, it is already starting to guess about, well, this is the best holiday place. So I love that space that you're looking at there, is how do we utilize this in having that it is now this big search platform as well. As someone who's worked across lifestyle, luxury, and branded hotel environments, how do you see AI shaping that future customer journey without without losing that human connection that hospitality is built on? Because, I've been to a few hotels where, and it's quite interesting, it's been in regional areas here in Australia where you walk in and there is a person behind the desk, but they're really out the back. You're actually, booking in yourself. It's all there. Now, that's great if you're in a hurry, but then it takes away that opportunity to have that conversation, upsell about the restaurant, etc. So where do you feel that AI comes in without losing that AI component? Well,
Uh,
without losing the human.
it's a great question. I think how AI is going to end up impacting the industry is that number one, the human touch and the human experience is
Mm,
it's never going to leave this industry. We're in an experience
mm,
industry. At the end of the day,
yes.
people travel today more for experience than anything else. They
Mm,
want to partake in something that's memorable, enjoyable, and that cannot happen without the human component and the human touch and that interaction.
yes.
And I think what the ultimate goal and where this is going to end up is that AI is going to be able to automate and create efficiencies so
Mm,
that the administrative tasks are removed from the customer facing employees and that the automated work, meaning, emails, text, phone calls, will be handled efficiently so that the guest is going to have a choice. If
yes.
they want the human touch, that human touch is going to be there. Hotels, brands,
Mm,
they're going to provide that, and it's going to be a requirement for the foreseeable future. Where the automation comes in is going to be for that customer that just wants a quick text to say, hey, drop a towel to my room, or
mm,
hey, can you book me at the restaurant at this and this time, so that it's going to enable guests to really spend more time doing what they want to do and having a more positive and memorable experience. So I look at this as a tool that's going to help us deliver more memorable experiences,
mm,
positive experiences for customers, where the interactions that they want to be seamless will be seamless. And then the
yes.
interactions where they want the human component, they'll be there. I think one of the other nuances we're learning is that as the demographics of our customers
Mm,
shift and the younger customer is coming into the industry and experiencing travel, the younger customer wants to have a more seamless experience. They may
yes.
not be as desirous as the previous generations to have that human touch, so that'll be there for them as well. But it's going to be a balance at the end of the day, and the human touch is going to stay in play for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just about to raise that point about the various generations. We have six generations, and if we look at the baby beaters now that have just arrived and globally, it's seven generations that we're working with. And particularly Gen Z, it is all about that seamless experience. If they can just text and not have to have that conversation with somebody, it makes it so much easier for them. And then of course the alphas, it's just second nature for them to pick up that piece of equipment that they can just text. And therefore, it also, to me, it avoids a lot of the mistakes or the misunderstandings, particularly, if there's language barriers or just the way that various nuances that we say in our language, because it's there, it's in that written form, and so and it's quick. And as you rightly said, it's certainly seamless. And that's what people are looking for, that they can just ask for it, then go about and do something else without having to wait. As I know, in this hotel last week, waiting for a good minute before somebody would answer the phone and then repeat it a number of times and then thinking, well, how long is it going to be? And then when it's that seamless experience, it's put in the order or whatever it might be, but you're also getting that text back roughly about how it's looking. And I know we've looked at this at a number of different third-party food delivery companies where they will have the little app, and it's the little bike or the little car moving across the screen to give them an idea that the food it's now on the road, it's going to be delivered, and it's people love to see the journey, and it's that customer journey even when they're not in the driver's seat. It makes it something special, doesn't it?
I agree. You know, what's interesting is I have two children, ages 13 and 11,
Hmm.
and their generation, when they write and communicate, everything's abbreviated. It's like three,
Yes.
4 letter acronyms, and they have it's almost as if it's their own language. And I wonder, 10, 15 years from now, are we going to be automating AI to all these abbreviations just to make it even more seamless? And I think that
Yes.
the journey is going to be continual. I don't think we're going to hit a wall or a plateau. I think that the automation is going to pick up momentum over time.
Mm,
But each time it gains another step forward in terms of finding an efficiency and making something more seamless, for a customer, I think that just opens another door where we can dedicate more human capital to the experience to make it even more pleasurable and memorable when that human interaction does take place.
Yes, yeah. And you're right. That's that first point is having that seamless experience, but they still want to meet somebody. They still want to be able to feel that they have that feeling that, I've made the right decision. I've come to this particular hotel or to this holiday or to this restaurant or this bar. And it's that connection where they can then talk or see a show in the theatrics of the cocktail bar, for instance, or, as you're talking about the rooftop venue, it's not just, well, we've booked in, but they've seen all the beautiful visuals through the social media and they've made the booking, but it still comes down to sitting down, looking at that view perhaps, and then having the team member to connect with them. That makes it interesting. And you're right, I don't think it's even going to be 10 or 15 years, Brian. I mean, they're just moving so fast, and our alphas, the older age now is 16, so they're already starting to be or already have been in the workplace. And this abbreviation, yes, I think we're all going to have a lesson on what that exactly means.
I'm learning it every day.
I am. Look, I'm still with the 6-7 here with my grandson. So, I'm thinking, oh yeah, trying to be a cool nana, and now I'm getting told that's old hat, man. Like move on. So I thought, oh, okay, all right, I'll find something else. But it did help me the other day because we've got the Chase here, which is one of those global television shows, and they came up with a question, and it was something about some word, and one of the answers I said it's Sigma. I know it's Sigma, and I got it, and I thought, yes, I am a very cool grandmother. I know what Sigma means. So
Job
it
well
does.
done.
It does, yeah, well done, yes, but I'm sure that's also old hat now as well. Look, you've led across very different stages of the business, from development through to operations. How do you believe leadership in hospitality? And that's what's key. It's an industry that has always been quite transient in a lot of ways. America, just like here in Australia, we have a lot of backpackers. They travel the world, they come in, but even not even backpackers, but a lot of people have been in the industry because it's a second job, or while they're at university, or college, etc. So it's not just about getting the people and retaining them, but it's also leading them. So how has leadership evolved over the past decade, do you feel, Brian, particularly in balancing, performance, people, and of course the guest expectations?
I think, leadership over the past decade, I think it's gotten more challenging. I think it's a circumstance of the world that we live in a post-COVID era where
Mm,
everything has changed, where the industry is dealing with globally, nominal RevPAR growth, rising costs
mm,
operationally and non-operationally, where owners are feeling the pinch in terms of not seeing bottom lines grow, and that then in turn applies pressure internally to the management team, the folks
yes.
that are getting it done on site. And as a result, that means management has to find more efficiencies, has to do more with less, in order to help owners get to their goals of where they need to be financially, while balancing out what the brands are requiring from a guest
Mm,
expectation standpoint, and then trying to go above and beyond on those guest expectations. So
yes.
these pressures were and circumstances were not as prevalent before COVID. There were pockets and instances, in the 10 years leading into COVID, but it's been this way for a few years now, and that just leads to more stringent requirements on the property team, and it
Yeah.
requires leaders to do more. And
Mm,
with the change of generations, where the younger generation is coming into the industry and the older generation is retiring, we're balancing out how to provide more support, more training to the younger generation
mm,
who are just entering into this industry, who are a little bit more sensitive socially than the
Yes.
previous generation because of how technology has evolved, social interactions, and leaders have to do more. So, what does that mean? It means they have to be more patient and understanding of the associates' needs, dedicate more time to training and ensuring that they have the right tools and resources to be successful, and investing more time in doing so
Mm.
with the goal of trying to retain them, and keep their attention in the building, and offering opportunities to grow. Whereas, let's say, the 10 or 15 years before, my generation coming up, we were taught from day one, you have to be patient.
Mm.
You have to wait for your turn when a promotion or an opportunity is coming about. And we were trained that, you need to um go above and beyond to be recognized for promotion.
Mm.
And in my generation, it was explained to us, these are your tools, these are your resources, make it happen. So
Yes.
in today, that's very much not the case. Today, there's more time dedicated to hiring, there's more time dedicated to training, and then there's more time dedicated to retraining. And
Mm.
the amount of resources available today to help associates with training and retraining is far more significant than it was 10 or 15 years ago. So
Mm.
in a good way, you have more tools, you have more resources, but senior leaders have to be more patient
Mm.
and accomplish more because the expectations from a service perspective have risen significantly because
Yes.
prices and costs have risen. What someone's spending on a vacation today is substantially more than what they've spending on a vacation, 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm.
And all that does is create compression on both sides onto senior leadership to be able to deliver. So it's gotten harder. I think that AI is going to help, be a pressure valve to release
Yes.
some of this burden on senior managers. And I know that there's excitement in the industry for that. Um, but it's gotten harder, and I think that it's that situation where pressure creates diamonds, and I think the end result is that we're going to end up with some pretty exceptional leaders and some folks that are going to innovate and take this industry to the next level. Because
Mm.
when you have circumstances that are more challenging than your previous generation, it tends to breed future leaders that will be capable of delivering more.
Yes, yeah. And it's going to be an exciting time ahead, the next 10, 20 plus years in this hospitality industry. And look, you're right, in the previous generations, where you've always thought you've got to wait your turn. You've literally got to wait till somebody dies to get that promotion. It's like, and you think, come on, hurry up, move on, retire. But they never seem to. Whereas, the biggest pushback I get with all my clients is, my gosh, they've only been here 7 weeks and they literally want the CEO's job or they want to do this, and, tongue in cheek. But it's true, and you've got to see them for the knowledge and the capabilities, and you can't just, I know with the programs that I run here, or they say not just the leaders that you've got now, but those that have got potential, because if you ignore them, they'll go very quickly to someone else who can see their
Very true.
potential. So to me, it's always been, as a leader, the skill is there to certainly assist others and delegate and show them how to do things. But it's seeing that potential and igniting that in somebody. And then you've got a team member who you can, show them the way, and they will move up very, very quickly and believe in the vision and the values of your business. So do you see that as something very key in being able to retain the staff that you have now, then with them knowing that there's more opportunities a lot sooner than there have been in the previous generations?
Yes, this generation, to your point, their patience to wait for an opportunity is very the ceiling's low. They're
Mm.
very desirous to grow and to earn and to be able to do more.
Mm.
So the way that we're able to retain and provide those opportunities is through more engagement, having frequent conversations
Mm,
and asking them and being honest and asking them, what are your goals? What are you trying
mhm,
to accomplish 6 months from now, a year from now, a couple of years from now?
mm,
And try to work together on a plan that helps them get to their goals of where they want to end up, and having that consistent engagement on both sides, so that the associate understands where they're at. They get clear feedback on what is working well, what they need to focus on, what are
mm,
opportunities for them to sharpen their skill set in order to be able to get to that next step. So in order to retain the employees, it's just more engagement, um, clear, concise feedback,
mm,
being transparent are really the fundamentals that we try to practice as much as we can to be able to deliver on the expectations of our associates that are
mm,
looking to grow and do more with their careers.
mm. I think it's a very interesting space that we've now found we've found ourselves in hospitality, where those that are coming in aren't staying there for very long unless they are noted. And it doesn't have to be the big picture, but at least being seen and being heard. And I think that's, it's going to be a challenge for the baby boomers with the senior management that are, have come up in a very different generation, as well as our Gen X's and Gen Y. Even though they're quite close, the Y's and Z, there is still that different platform. So it's interesting in getting to apply for hospitality. I don't know about you, but we've found since COVID that it's not as glamorous as it was once thought, and so just trying to get them in the door is one thing, but then to keep them is something altogether very different. And there is a lot of potential. It's just finding that in the right people, and then them creating those workplace opportunities. Let me ask you this, Brian. I know this is a bit off the cuff, but we find here in Australia what's been working, or when I said in Australia, the clients that I work with, is doing the connection, particularly with Gen Zs, outside of the workplace. I always have a bit of a tongue-in-cheek moment that I say, two Gen Zs won't walk in the door together unless they're holding hands, and I say that in a loving way, not in a nasty way. But for them, we find that if they can be doing something else with the venue in it, whether it is, raising funds for a national or global organization, but even more so if it's something to do with the local community, whether it's cleaning up the beach there in Miami, or whether it's giving blood or mowing the lawns of people around Christmas time that are elderly, whatever, we're finding that that translates back into the workplace, because now all of a sudden, I was there on the weekend doing, being there with XYZ. It's a bit of a slow burn. You usually get two or three people to start with, and then it grows and grows. Do you have anything similar to what I'm saying that we are finding works here, or any thoughts about it?
Absolutely. The culture here has been for offsite gatherings and celebrations, has been really strong, for since I was up and coming in the industry,
Mm,
and I find that that's only grown and evolved more, and we see it with our own team members, orchestrating it themselves, and then
mm,
with our events that we try to coordinate and with our team members off property, that there's value in that connection and
yes.
being able to understand who the person is outside of the workspace and
Mm,
understand them on a human and on a personal level. It ends up facilitating a general understanding of who we are as individuals,
mm,
so that when we're dealing with challenging moments in the workplace, everybody can understand the other person's position easier
yes.
and come to an agreement in terms of how to figure out and solve a problem together. So
Mm,
we're big believers of that, and one of our focuses in the future is how do we continue to evolve that and grow that, so that it's engaging not only for our associates, but tying it back ways into giving back to the community and making
yes.
it a win for everybody. So it's been more on the social front, I
Mm,
would say. Now the focus is on how do we tie it into the community,
yes.
and giving back in the
Mm.
future.
Yeah, and I think that it's really key for that Gen Z. It's that it's giving back to that community. But we always know too, Brian, that there'll always be the group that go, look, I don't want to get involved, but I'm happy to give a donation, or I'll be at work. What that allows that team member to go out and
Yep.
donate the time, whatever it might be. So it's, I think for the whole team, it's allowing each and every one of them to display on how they want to be involved. But we're definitely seeing some really massive improvements in that team retention, because now it's not only just the peer, it's actually somebody that they know that little bit more about, so that they're wanting to come to work. So it hasn't fixed all Saturday nights where I don't want to come in, but we are finding there is that little bit more loyalty now, that, oh well, if I don't come in, if I stay at home and wash my hair instead of coming in for that shift, I'm actually letting down the team. And that team are that great group that I, went out with last Sunday, and, we cleaned up the beach, or whatever it might be. So I feel that's a real piece that's growing, which is really beautiful to see. I think that's great, because once again, it's connecting with humans, isn't it?
It's
That's
all
what
about the
it's about.
connection at the end of the
It
day,
is.
building a bond.
It is very much so. So at MIA Hospitality Management, there is a strong emphasis on operational excellence and building that high performance culture. Now, we hear culture as a word that used to be bandied around, it was something that we had to have on our vision board. It's all about the culture, but we now know it is so much more than that. And it's really wonderful to see organizations actually living and breathing their culture from the top down and from the down up as well. What qualities are you most looking for in emerging hospitality leaders who will guide the industry into the future?
Um, we look for passion. We look for individuals who um, strive to achieve maximum results, and for folks who can demonstrate that they don't just settle.
Mm,
I think one of the challenges that our industry's been dealing with for many years is that there's a sense of complacency at
mm,
times where it's okay to just settle, for status quo, or settle with, that guest that left with just an average experience where they didn't complain, and it's
mm.
okay if they didn't complain. And if settling for status quo means, it's another day where I could, continue to work, then so be it. And I think that we've done a great job of breaking through that barrier
Mm.
and finding individuals that don't want to settle and who want more for themselves,
Yes.
something that's more rewarding, and that they're willing to put in the extra effort not to settle. We can train on systems, we can train on standards, we can train on processes. You can't train somebody on ambition, or
Mm.
it's really hard to instill ambition in somebody.
Yeah.
Um, instilling, as a father, instilling ambition is it's a life's work.
Yes. Mm.
It never ends, and it's hard to try to accomplish that with somebody over a 1 or 2 year or 3 year time frame.
Mm.
So we look for ambition, and we look for individuals that want to push above and beyond.
Yes.
If if we can continue to hire and recruit and bring ambitious, passionate team members into our organization, it just becomes a domino effect, almost
Yeah.
an avalanche, where you have a team of folks who are looking to go above and beyond for the guests,
Mm.
for the brand, for each other cohesively. That will end up delivering superior guest experiences. That will end up delivering superior um, results for owners and investors in hotels.
Mm.
And That's what we look for more than anything else. We can we can evaluate experience, we can evaluate education. To an extent, you can gauge what you think someone's um, you know capacity might be or bandwidth to be able to handle certain, responsibilities, but you can't replace ambition and passion. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for more than anything else.
Mm. I love you using that word ambition because it's not long ago that ambition was a dirty word. If you said you were ambitious, people would look at you and go, "Oh, it's just all about you." But it's not. You need that drive. You need that determination to achieve or to grow or to develop or just move from here to there. So I love you saying that in the context that that's something that you're looking for because you normally we go, "Oh, we want to employ the people that are happy and smiling and we can teach them the skill to pour that cocktail." But still need somebody who's got that ambition who goes, "Look, and that doesn't mean that everybody wants to be the CEO, does it, Brian? It's more the fact that they're ambitious of being the best that they possibly can be and then push them that little bit more."
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what my. Can you tell us a little? Because I've been on your website, and you talk about the four pillars, and it's a beautiful website, I must say. Can you
Thank
tell us a
you.
little bit more about what MIA Hospitality Management actually does? I'll certainly be putting all the links in the show notes, but if you can just share with my audience, because we've got a large global audience. Exactly what do you do? What do you offer?
So we offer a wide range of services. My my partner Robert Finvarb is a real estate developer, and
Mm,
he's developed over 20 hotels across the U.S. over the last 2 decades, and developing and bringing projects to life from a vision is something that we're really good at. And
mm,
we offer a service for owners and developers who are looking to bring a new concept to life on how can they underwrite the development, how can they establish who their competitive landscape is, and then partner with them to provide services where we can work with their architects, their interior designers, and their construction project management team
mm.
to program the building operationally so that what's being put on paper and end up becoming an actuality in real life makes sense operationally.
Yes.
Because once the project gets going with construction, rarely is there ever a moment where you go back and you fix things. There, that doesn't happen in the development space. And having a manager engaged very early in the process can take a lot of risk off of the developer owner's plate in terms of making mistakes where operational expertise is not available, that
Mm,
doesn't translate into the design. So we offer a pre-opening services for those clients, and then once the hotel is up and running, we offer the full gamut, which is revenue management with best in class tools and resources, sales management, demand generation, and digital marketing services as well. Accounting, which is a critical piece
mm,
to the overall operation, where most hotel deals end up not performing, ends up being usually in two disciplines: revenue management and finance accounting.
mm.
And if those two are not operating in the best possible capacity at all times, it becomes extremely impactful to the bottom
Yes.
line of the hotel. And those two disciplines are something we pride ourselves on very much. And then obviously operations. And when I say operations, that means rooms, food and beverage, maintenance, preventative maintenance, capital expenditure management, making sure that these assets are well maintained and preserved, and that they're meeting the guest expectations, and also
Right.
reducing the owner's liability in terms of having to reinvest earlier than they anticipated, which can become a
Yes.
huge pain point.
Mm,
And then obviously tying it all together where it's not a one size fits all approach to the portfolio. What's different about us than other management companies is because we're small, we're able to be nimble
Mm.
and implement strategies for each hotel that are specific to that hotel, where we can focus all of our team members to execute all of those disciplines in terms of what's in the best interest for that hotel and not for the portfolio, and being able to drill down and execute in that kind of a manner is something I know owners are looking for. The landscape is more competitive than it's ever been with new brands emerging. It feels like on a daily basis now.
Yes. Mm.
And the best way we can deliver results for owners and guests and our associates is to always do what's in the best interest of each specific hotel and not
Mm.
just the entire portfolio.
Yes. Thank you for that explanation because, I always find I have these wonderful guests and it's just giving you the opportunity just to share that little bit of an insight into what you do. And as I said, after looking at your website and seeing that you got these four pillars, you don't just do one thing, you do such a broad range from the moment that you, well, look at the plans before the dirt is turned over right through to that amazing guest experience. And I smile when you talked about, you build these plans. I'm sure you and I have been into a number of different back of house restaurants where the chef walks in and goes, "Why is that there?" and, and it's looked really good on paper for the architect, but it's totally not the way that a chef, works around that particular space. Or, we've even had new developments where they've literally walked in and going, "We've got to flip the whole thing. The restaurant should be on the right side and the bar should be on the left side." You think, oh my goodness, like, why wasn't this picked up? But it's not until you have the knowledge, which you, obviously do, Brian, and your team, is that we've walked this journey multiple times, so we know what works. And it's just those aha moments. I'm sure you've built your own house. I know I've built mine and my daughter's doing it at the moment, and you look at the plans, you go, "That's wonderful." And then you see the dirt turn in the slab and you think, "Oh, is that what it's actually going to look like?" You need literally, and I think that's what AI is good at now. You can actually walk around the plans because I'm one of those people in particular. I need to see the whole picture, and I just look at plans and go, "Oh, that looks nice," but it's not till it's finished you go, "Oh, we really should have had that wall there, or had that," and that's one tiny component of your expertise. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Brian. Now, look, before we finish off, I've got one last question. Well, actually, this will be the second last question. Given your experience launching award-winning venues and leading branded hotel platforms, what advice would you give to the next generation of hospitality leaders about staying innovative, commercially minded, and guest focused in a rapidly changing industry?
Another great question. I would say to the next generation, have an open mindset.
Mm.
Be receptive to change and be receptive to your surroundings and take in and try to learn as much as you can
Mm.
so that you can understand what's happening in your area and figure out a path on how you can make an impact to make it innovative, or how you can make an impact to improving the guest focus.
Mm.
I think more often than not, in human nature, we tend to have preconceived notions when we start a role, or we tend to have preconceived notions about what it might be like in a certain work environment.
Mm.
And it ends up creating an artificially low ceiling that may limit somebody's potential to
Mm.
try and do something new and take a risk.
Yes.
And my advice to the next generation is, if you have that open mindset and you're receptive to listening to others and taking a risk in terms of trying something new
Mm.
that's outside of your comfort zone, you can end up learning something where you can push yourself into a direction that you didn't probably think you were capable of,
Mm.
and it'll end up growing you as an individual, as a team member, and it'll end up growing your skill set. And at the end of
Yes.
the day, if you're looking to grow in this industry, every one of those experiences, when you're putting yourself out there and trying something new, you're growing your skill set, where
Mm.
you're going to be able to take that skill set and then leverage it into something that'll help you get into a position you want to work in.
Yes.
It'll help you position yourself where you're more happier in your role because you're learning and you're feeling accomplished, and that you're rewarding yourself in that process.
Mm.
So I would say, take that risk to be open minded, and it'll end up opening up so many more new doors for you in your
Yes.
career.
Mm.
And it'll end up making you appreciate and hopefully enjoy what you're doing at the end of the day. It's when I started in this business a long time ago, I learned quickly that if I'm open to trying new things and put myself out there and push my boundaries in terms of what I'm willing to do and understand and learn,
Mm.
it'll end up propelling my career more quickly than what I was initially expecting. And
Yes.
I think if this next generation can do the same, they'll be pleasantly surprised in terms of what they can accomplish and how rewarding it could be.
Yeah, right. The opportunities are endless, and you're right. You've just got to push yourself because you just don't know where it's going to end up. And I've loved. Over the last 8 years, I've had the most amazing guests. Including yourself, who said, I started off here, but by just putting forward this idea or just stretching myself or somebody believing in me, and therefore I've done that, and now look where I am. And I just think that is so beautiful, and that is something about our industry. We have so many people that come in that it's the first job, and we show them the steps of connection with people, supportive as a team. But that word you used, ambition, you have that, and my goodness, you don't know where you'll end up in the years to come. Brian, is there something that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with my audience?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me think about that. You haven't asked me about let me think. I would say in terms of opportunities and where I think this younger generation can help themselves gain a little bit more stronger footing is
Hmm.
to understand that if there seems to be a desire today that everybody wants to make a living from their phone or from their home and not be out there socially or in person.
Yes.
And I would challenge the younger generation out there that's looking to make a great living and have a meaningful career where you're meeting new people and gaining new experiences in this industry, by affording yourself the ability to travel also, because that's another huge plus of working in the travel industry is it opens doors for you to want
Yes.
to be able to travel
Mm.
and have experiences that sometimes the regular traveler might not be able to avail themselves to. Is
Mm.
um, if you go counter to the trend and you apply yourself and you put yourself out there more socially, um, in the workplace, you can end up making an amazing career and more money than you could imagine
Mm.
with less risk. I think that this generation is looking at technology as like this quick, fast-paced track to making a passive income. But because so many folks are flocking in that direction, it's harder and harder to really, rise above the others and make a great career or earn a wonderful living. And because the pool of folks who are willing to participate in this industry is shrinking,
Mm.
if you run counter to the trend, you could end up doing things that are beyond your wildest dreams from a career perspective, and take that opportunity to try and do something that not everybody might be chasing, and
Yes.
you could end up having a wonderful career and lovely lifelong memories in this space. So that's my parting my those are my parting words and my parting gift to your audience. And it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy too, to kind of get the younger generation inspired out there to to join this industry, because I'm extremely grateful for every opportunity, and I know that there's still so many rewarding opportunities out there for the next generation. So give it a chance.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian. And the advice that you've just given, my listeners and then those that, perhaps may even be thinking of entering the industry or presently in the industry and just thinking, you know what, I'm going to do that or try that or just move out of my comfort zone. So thank you so much. And I really love that, they all want to work at home and on the phone. There is so much more to life than that. Get outside, go and meet people, and the hospitality industry, as you rightly said, Brian, will take you all around the world, whether it's shaking a cocktail, serving a plate, cleaning dishes. It doesn't matter where it is. We're a beautiful industry full of people that want to connect and make those amazing, memorable experiences for each and every one of our guests. Thank you so much, Brian, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I know my audience are going to certainly enjoy this episode. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.